So another reason I've come to love horror movies is the time capsule of terror. Like horror films tap into some real Jungian shit about our collective anxieties. Sometimes this sometimes this comes across as thesis horror, movies that deal directly with horror as literal metaphor, movies like Get Out or It Follows, for example. But as we've talked a lot about on this show before, horror movies, whether intentionally or not, reflect the fears of the era. 30 Days of Night really does reflect drone warfare in Iraq and Afghanistan, even if it's not literally about that. Drag Me to Hell lands in movie theaters as the millennial generation is reaching adulthood and just as the housing bubble is bursting. The Exorcist captures collective fears not only of the satanic panic, but of child rearing. Birth rates went into steep decline throughout the 1960s due to second wave feminism. And this week's film, David Cronenberg's Rabid, deals with the consequences of the sexual revolution in neo-puritanical Western culture. Filmed, sorry, films in the 1960s and 70s made nudity and sexuality mainstream, and it captivated the masses. It was considered intellectually progressive to go see movies like Deep Throat or Behind the Green Door. A subscription to Playboy in the 70s was cultured. Sex was new for normies, and they couldn't really handle it. Exploitation ran rampant, not only in porn, but in Hollywood too. So did the backlash against sex. Abstinence only education leading to many problems, not the least of which was the rise of venereal diseases throughout the 1970s and 80s. Herpes, syphilis, chlamydia, all on the rise as this week's film was being made. And we're not even in the AIDS era yet. David Cronenberg's Rabid is a zombie picture, to be sure. It cautions against evil science as well, but it's no mistake that the lead part went to adult film legend Marilyn Chambers, that sexuality is front and center throughout. There's even a key scene in a triple X cinema, not to mention the simultaneously phallic and yonic weapon inside Rose's armpit. This movie is sick and silly and so very Cronenberg. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Do you remember the first porn or dirty magazine you ever saw?
I don't. I remember going to get it. And I remember like the moment where like me and my three friends were like, okay, we're going to do it, you guys. We're going to do it. We're going to go behind the beaded curtain at the VHS store this time.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get a real movie and we're going to get a porn and we're just going to just do it. But I don't remember what we got.
I was trying to think of that too. I definitely I think for me it was like as a kid finding like maybe being like 10 or something and finding a friend of mine found a Playboy magazine. I think that was
Oh,
his
yes.
dad's. And yes, this was definitely it because this was like 10 or 11, maybe fifth
Okay.
grade or something. But I
Sure.
was just anyways, he gave me this thing and I remember hiding it. It was like a prepper hiding gold. Like it
Yeah.
was just like
Yeah.
this is so sacred. It was hidden under so many piles of stuff in my trunk in my closet. Um but yeah, I still remember that magazine. I still remember the centerfold's name was Hope Marie Carlton, something from the mid
Oh,
80s.
where'd
Like
you go? University of Miami.
yeah, probably. I don't
She
honestly at
loves
that
jet
age.
skiing,
Walks on
men
the
with
beach.
kind eyes,
Yeah,
and hot cocoa,
yeah.
even
She
though she lives in
really
Miami.
she wants to meet a Virgo. Sure, I get all of this.
Now, it's actually funny. As soon as you said that, a memory unlocked. I remember finding my parents' copy of the book, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex, but were afraid to ask, as
Oh,
well as a Playboy published deck of cards. It was like the rules of card games, poker, baccarat, I don't know, fucking whatever, but it had a very randy looking redheaded lady on the cover.
uh-huh.
And those two were stored together. So I'm sure my dad was learning about catching up on his blackjack strategies with Amber Waves over here, teaching him everything he knows at the casino.
Amber waves.
Well, and it was weird because as soon as I found them, I flipped through them, and I think my mom must have noticed they were not in the place that they normally were or were put away askew, and they disappeared forever. So
Oh.
maybe I got my dad in trouble with my mom, found the dirty books. Who knows? I'll have to ask her on Mother's Day.
Yeah, we gotta wait till next May.
That's right.
So yeah, this movie was a lot of fun.
This movie, I forgot how much I fucking love this movie.
It's really fun. It's in a lot of ways my favorite type of Cronenberg in that yeah, it's sick and it's silly.
Yeah,
And it's having a lot of fun and being super heavy at the same time. And I think that
yeah.
that's a real blast. Like we watch a man get attacked by zombie road workers by taking a jackhammer through the car door into his hip.
Yeah, we do. We ask for we see a surgeon ask for scissors so he could cut off the finger of his associate and drink her blood.
Yep, straight out like a crazy straw.
Yeah, but
It's
this
yeah.
movie has so much going on. It's like part almost like police procedural or like like emergency team procedural, very common to, there's a pandemic. Then it has the second half, which is all kind of like the crazies or like, the second part of Night of the Living Dead. They're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, there's a plague around. Now what? People watching news footage and that sort of thing. But then throughout, we have this love story, sort of thwarted love story.
Hmm.
And man, it's also part serial killer film.
Yeah, a little bit of that too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And at the heart of it all, like it's sexy from the get-go. I didn't look up anything about the film other than just finding the Just Watch link to where I could get it.
Sure.
So I knew about it just basically through a cursory glance at the description, but I was really shocked at the beginning when it's showing us the credits. And I'm like, Marilyn Chambers.
I know. And I literally paused and I went, how do I know that name? And it was like Marilyn Chambers, adult film actress. The former Ivory Soap Girl makes a nudie flick kind of headlines were popping out at me. Who
And
knew?
this movie definitely, yeah, well, it's sexy. It's exploitatively sexy. It definitely does the horror trope of let's make sure we get our girls naked as much as possible, sort of
Sure.
thing. But it to me that exploitation felt intentional. It there's a sexiness to almost all of Cronenberg's movies.
Yeah.
Even if there is no nudity, like there's no nudity in The Fly from what I remember, but he cast two very attractive people. So this
Yeah.
disgusting movie is also super sexy too.
Yeah.
And this one feels very much like it is of the heartbeat of this like the cocaine 70s, basically
Oh my
the
God.
promiscuous,
Right.
the free love era, people who have gold mirrored coffee tables
Oh
and,
yeah.
the same tiles on the ceiling as well.
Yes, you have the fuck mirror ceiling,
Uh-huh.
or maybe a little sideboard, perhaps.
Yeah.
Lots of ferns, lots of bubble lamps, lots of wicker chairs.
Uh-huh.
I love that this movie, like predominantly the first act of this movie takes place in a retreat, which is the most Canadian retreat I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's like there's like half a foot of snow on the ground, and everybody's curling up with their ferns and their like was that Jonathan Livingston
Livingston
Seagull
Seagull.
coffee,
Uh-huh.
you know.
There was one other thing too. I was to steal a page from our friends over at the podcast Uike Error. They always ask at the end of each episode, "Did you learn anything?"
Oh, nice.
Did you learn anything about the culture? They always ask,
Sure.
Eileen, were you scared? Did you learn anything about the culture? Blah blah blah, because they focus on Latinx films. Um, anyways, this movie, I did learn something that I learned that the Canada Act was passed in 1982. There's a moment in this film, this 1977 film, where basically some British bureaucrat comes over and instills martial law in Montreal and in Canada. And
Is
I
this
was like,
real?
can they do that? They
Is this
can't
a
do
real thing?
that. But
What's
yeah,
going
it was
on?
the Canada Act in 1982 that basically said, by the way, Britain, you don't get to you cannot amend our constitution anymore.
Oh,
So it
damn.
finalized full independence for Canada from
Okay.
England, from the UK. They're still part of the Commonwealth, but they are
Sure.
no longer. So they're like uh, in name ruled by the crown, but not they are not ruled by
Yes.
the British Parliament. So,
They're not
anyways,
making any rules. They're not making any laws or rules.
Yes.
actively.
So yes, I did learn something about the
Well
Canadians, about
done.
the Canadian culture. So this movie starts with Rose and Hart, two amazing names.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. The names in this, the names throughout, like I kind of running down are pretty loaded, aren't they?
Hmm.
Because, Hart, well, he's got a lot of it. And Rose, well, let's just say she has thorns.
It's perfect. It's so good. It's so pulpy. I
Yeah.
adore it. I adore it a bunch. I didn't even think about the thorn thing. That's amazing. So there's them, and they're getting on their motorbike. They're gonna
Yep.
go ride this crotch rocket all over the Quebecian countryside.
Yep.
And you also have simultaneously we see a setup of Dan Killoyd, who is
Mhm.
the who runs a plastic surgery clinic and retreat center,
Let's
which
talk about this for 1 second here. Because this is what I was alluding to before. And the idea is that it's like plastic. There's something about David Cronenberg films that's always like of the moment, but also like David Cronenberg knows something about this culture that you don't yet.
Mhm.
But we will in about 5 to 7 years, and I feel like he is so on the cusp on this idea of like, people who love to get plastic surgery, body modification as an expression of oneself, and want to do it in a sort of retreat style
Mhm.
atmosphere. I'm
Mhm.
surprised that they didn't have, like there wasn't even more kind of spoofery he could do around this. Like everybody's drinking, spirulina shakes and that sort of stuff. But I found it so interesting. Like what a place to set your film.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in the kind of in the middle of nowhere, and some of that is this really practical thing that it happens outside of the city. That
Yes.
it happens outside of the hustle and bustle. But
Yeah.
once our protagonist Rose makes it to the city, particularly in the adult cinema, like that's where it
Yeah.
starts to spread,
When she's in
and
full bloom, you might say.
when she is in full bloom, and the yeah, and that's where the adult cinema scene later when she infects a man at the Triple X house. That's where I realized, like, 100% we're dealing with venereal diseases here. We're
Yeah.
dealing with the consequences of the culture and the
Yes.
fears around that. And I didn't sense a judgment of it. It didn't feel like don't have sex
No.
or be careful when you have sex. There's no like
No.
none of that PSA shit. I nor did I feel like he was judging people into plastic surgery either. I think
No.
David Cronenberg is
No.
just fascinated with this shit.
Yeah. And it makes sense that something that is so we have this beautiful protagonist. Rose is this gorgeous, fresh, natural looking woman who legit no one can resist over the course of this film. And I think that's and the same could be said for Hart. Like Hart is like he looks a lot like oh what's oh man, what's the guy's name?
Spader?
Super no no no,
No.
not Spader. A super famous actor also like of this era who's in the Dead Zone. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Chris Walken. Yeah,
He looks
Christopher
like
Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's that like square jawed, handsome, take it like
Kind
a
of
man kind of
but
man.
tough, but a little boyish in the
Oh
face.
yeah.
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 Like there was a scene where they were kissing. I was like, this is really sexy.
Mm-hmm.
This is like softcore sexy.
Yeah. So they're out, Rose and Hart are out on Hart's motorbike,
Yep.
just racing through the countryside, and then we kind of see the inciting incident, which is caused by this arguing couple and their kiddo just in a van about, honey, you're lost. You need to look at a map. And boys never ask directions.
Why
And
don't you pull this thing right over? We have passed this barn 3 times. The son's like, I know we've passed. It's like, we've not passed. You know what? I'm just going to turn this around and you can all just crucify me because I'm the father of this household.
I love how long this setup
I
takes
know.
to not just the argument, but the how long it takes him to turn the van around. And somehow the van just dies in the middle of the
Yeah,
road.
I know, right?
And then Hart is absolutely like checking his phone or some shit
Yeah.
because he does not see a giant, you know, uh, Dodge conversion van in the middle of the road, bright blue, and wrecks right into it like it's a ramp and
Yeah.
goes flying out into the field. They crash. We see his body thrown, and her body gets trapped under the motorbike, which then
Yeah.
explodes.
Explodes. Because this is the 70s where literally all you have to do is like throw a quarter at a vehicle and it will explode. I love the fact that the busybodies, like it's like the sort of rich, posh busybodies next door. There's a woman going, "Oh, look, honey," with her binoculars. "Look, there's been a motorcycle accident. We should do something or tell someone, shouldn't we?" And they do.
They do. Well, and they're clearly at Dr. Killoyd's plastic surgery retreat center and clinic. And because she's got all of the she's got little bandages under her eyes, so she's had like an eye bag tuck.
Yeah.
And he's got just a full-on
Full
like
face.
head bandage, full face wrap, and he's wearing a
I love
sweatshirt
it.
that says "Jogging Kills."
Jogging kills. It's his jogging outfit that says jogging kills. Like, this is the era of bran muffins as a healthy food.
Yes.
You know, I love it. I was also wondering I wonder what he had done. I was like, that's a lot of bandaging, sir.
Yeah, did he have hair implants? Because it's covering the whole scalp of his head too. Yeah. So they they obviously
they beeline it. They beeline it to Dr. Kelloyd.
Yeah, Dr.
I was
Kelloyd.
like, Kellogg's. It's like it's a portmanteau of like Kellogg's and like Polaroid.
Yeah,
Kelloyd.
But he brings them in, and he gets on the ambulance and realizes that Hart is just unconscious because he's got a concussion and a broken collarbone. He's just really badly scraped up.
Yeah.
But it's all going to be stuff you can recover from. So he gets sent to the city, to the Montreal General.
Yep.
And he's like, she's not going to live 30 minutes. So we've got to get her on the operating table now. They cart her in past the front desk, and there's another posh man in a fancy velvet robe. And he's like, they should at least cover it with a sheet or something.
Right. I know. They're like, this
blood,
this horrible life, these terrible people that are invading into my healing space. Now, talk about this weird, it wouldn't be a Cronenberg film without some sort of weird magic serum that is currently being tested, unbeknownst to the person it's being tested on, usually.
Yeah, so there's this like what did he call it? He calls it like they're taking a skin graft from her because so they're going to take they use basically a potato peeler to electric potato peeler.
They just they get out the cheese grater and just
to shave off a bookmark-sized swath of her thigh skin, which they're gonna use to grow new skin on her like face and chest and arms and whatever else. So they I don't remember the exact phrase that he uses, but there is something to oh God, what does he say? It is morphogenetically neutralize the skin grafts.
You're like, that ain't real. Are we in but it's like, is this real? Like, even today, I'm like, is that a thing that we can do?
Probably.
I'm sure in the 70s, people were like, whoa, like top science. And I think the way they describe it is like, we're going to take your thigh skin, but we're going to like blast it with, I don't know, like a bunch of stuff, and that will essentially tell it to stop being thigh skin and start being sort of neutral skin that we can then put anywhere in your body.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a sciencey wiancy thing to this too that makes perfect sense in the course of the story, meaning that thigh skin isn't the same as face skin, but once you like dip it
apply
in
the Kelloyd method.
Yeah, once you like dip it in balsamic vinegar and give it a quick like pan fry on it,
like just like a little fresh ground pepper over top, it'll stick to anything. It'll taste like anything, to be honest.
Yeah, and it'll act like face skin from that point on. So that's what they do.
Gosh, I'm so hungry for chicharrones right now.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you imagine if they had just taken that off and be like, somebody like, well, we could fry that.
Well, it's true. It's
probably be pretty darn good.
Listen, we had some of the best salmon skin grafts when we were in Pittsburgh at that restaurant.
Yes, we did.
Chartreuse was if you're in Pittsburgh, the Chartreuse restaurant
is so good.
So
everything was
good.
good. But yeah,
Everything was very good, but the salmon skin grafts, they don't call it that, but this is fried salmon
that will
skin.
then turn you into a blue, green, foamy mouth, rabid sex fiend.
I just
Just a
want that.
rumor I've heard.
I just want that little armpit vagina. That's what I
Oh
want.
my God. Too many holes, Jeffrey.
Too many holes.
That is too many holes for one person to have.
Okay, so we jump ahead to a month later. Dan is trying to get Dan's trying to
Any
get to see Rose,
word
but
of
they're like
anything. Yeah.
but they're like she's still in a coma, you can't
Yeah.
do whatever. So, then we meet Lloyd. Lloyd is another patient there who's coming back for more uh eye tuck or something like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
He's had some things going on. And while Lloyd is there at night at the clinic, loud screaming, Rose wakes up. This this is so funny. She wakes up screaming, and when he runs in there, she's writhing in bed, so much so that she's knocked the covers off of her, so it's just tits out, like
Oh
arching
yeah.
back up in the air, like
Yep.
wobbling titties
Yep.
in his face. Um, Lloyd in this moment isn't like, this isn't Lloyd being like, "Ooh, hey baby." He's
No.
immediately starts with like,
It's
"Hey,
like,
I'm trying to help you. I'm something, you've just
yeah.
come out of this coma, the things are going on." And then she says, "I'm so cold. You're so warm. Hold me."
Hold me. Hold me.
Which obviously creates some like, "What am I doing right now?"
Yeah. Yeah.
from
Yeah. Yeah.
Lloyd. And the
Yeah.
next thing he knows, it's not just hot lady hugging him. Something is stabbing his side.
Something is stabbing his side. And we see blood coming out of his shirt at the point of contact where she is hugging him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
When Lloyd comes to the next day and Dr. Colloid is looking at him, Lloyd is like, "I don't know what happened to me.
Yeah.
I have no memory." So that's one of the other things, is the people that have this happen to them
Is this when
don't
he's on the
remember.
table? Is
Yeah.
this when he's like, this scene is so weird because this is kind of our first example of whatever rabid disease this is. And he looks not good. It's very like it sort of drains you of all energy. And he's telling the doctor, he's shirtless and he's got his arm up, and he's telling the doctor that he can't feel anything
That's right.
on his side.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, "This? No, not like hands, arm, anything." So there is whatever this is works through your body and works through your body real fast.
Yep. We also the nurse, there's kind of like one main nurse that we meet throughout. Is her name Maxim? I forget. Anyways, whatever. This nurse is showing Rose's room to Dr. Colloid.
Sure.
Colloid?
Yes.
Colloid.
Yeah.
And she's kind of making this logical but like factless leap that she's like, "I think Lloyd attacked her. I think he tried to molest her while she was unconscious," because there's like blood stains on the wall and pictures are knocked over and things like that. So we also, real quickly, not a super important character, but she does come into play briefly later. We meet Judy, another woman checking into the
I like Judy.
clinic.
Judy, who's studying her Freudian psychology,
which is, again, so 70s. Tell me you're in a 70s movie without telling me you're in a 70s movie.
You've got a Dr. Freud paperback, The Life and Work of Sigmund Freud, in paperback.
So, during all of this shit happening with Lloyd and whatever else, Rose is up and around, and she's like, "Well, see you later." Slips right on out and manages to find her way to some local farm. It's raining, so she slips into a barn, finds a cow, and is like, "I am so cold and so hungry." She throws her armpit over the cow, starts sucking the cow's blood, and it causes her to puke.
To throw up blood.
This is like we've seen this in vampire lore too.
It's like when vampires try to eat people food.
Yeah, anything that's not human blood makes them vomit. Like their body rejects anything that's not human blood. And so there is kind of a vampire meets zombie type of thing happening here. So she's a vampire who creates zombies from her armpit fang.
Or ghouls.
Yeah, ghouls.
But oh my god, this scene with the cow, it's and this is so Cronenberg. It's like so warmly lit. Like this looks like a nativity scene, like a little like
You're
this.
right.
She just sort of just curls up in the hay next to, like, it looks so natural and inviting. And weirdly enough, I think it's because David Cronenberg understands what looks like it feels good on film. Like it's that warmth. Like he knows how to achieve that. Like, okay, we're gonna, like this movie is about touch and sex and feeling, the way your body feels. Guess what? He is going to manipulate the fuck out of you. And listen, I was like, yeah, you lay down next to that cow. Well, maybe don't bite it with your armpit penis barb.
Yeah.
But okay, that's cool. That's cool. Because
But
you know what?
yeah.
Some asshole redneck is going to come around here.
And
Just a
start
moment.
fucking with, yeah, in just a moment. I do like this idea that she goes after the cow because it's maybe a statement of her goodness at heart. I mean, she's obviously not
Yeah.
a perfectly good character. She is bad in many ways, but a lot of it is sort of explained by the fact that she just has this, and it seems to control people's minds a little bit, having this pincer thing. But I like that she's like, well, maybe I can, like a normal human, I can eat cow just with my armpit straw.
Yeah.
But it obviously doesn't work. Drunk farmer shows up and is like, hello, sweet honey pie. And unlike
Ugh.
Lloyd, he's very much like, you look real sweet to me.
Yeah.
And he throws himself on top of her, but he gets armpit stabbed as well.
Yep.
Well, see you, brother. We'll see you in just a few scenes.
We'll see you in a minute in one of the best scenes of this film.
Yep. Okay,
but you're right. I didn't think about that. She's so hungry, and she's like, yeah, well, maybe I can drink this cow instead of, I don't know, say my best friend.
Yeah. So, well, we're about to learn a little bit of, okay, real quick before I get to what happens to the people who she infects. She does try to call Hart.
Yeah.
And it's this really great scene where he's in his garage, just, I don't know, doing soldering projects.
No, he's trying to put together his motorcycle. That's right. Motorcycle crash.
Yeah. And so she's trying to call him. He's listening to just like the corniest sex pop music of the 70s. And we just see the camera pan up to the red wall phone in his upstairs bedroom,
the upstairs
just ringing. So she's getting desperate and looking real sweaty and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we see Lloyd leaving the hospital saying, see you later, comb over, friend. There's another bygone era of the 1970s.
Oh my
just
God,
a 28-year-old man with hair perfectly combed over the top.
And I swear to God, he's in at least one or two other Cronenberg films. Like, I swear to God, I've seen him in at least, because he plays creepy friendly so well.
Yeah. Are you talking about Lloyd or the comb over guy?
The comb over guy.
The comb over guy, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to get our next fantastic automobile or vehicular crash sequence wherein Lloyd gets in the back of this cab, is going off to wherever town, and suddenly he's got foaming green shit pouring out of his mouth, and he is attacking the cab driver, which causes it to get into a wreck with another car on the highway, careen off the bridge, fly into the highway below, explode, and then the whole thing gets crushed by an oncoming 18-wheeler.
Yes, and it is like practical effect. Like they did that to that car. Probably to a lot of cars in order to get that effect. But yeah, it's intense. I was like, my God, the pileup on this interstate is going to be massive.
We don't do this with car crashes much anymore. I guess it's all sort of relegated to your like Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah.
But we don't have just good old fashioned car crashes and shit in everyday films, do we?
No, we
like
don't.
Where the car explodes.
It's I think cars have we're so used to like Marvel movies and Fast and Furious, in which cars are purely like just a thought or an idea. It's not a real thing.
Yeah.
It's like, so we don't really care if our protagonists completely dismantle a car over the course of a 12-minute car chase.
Well, and also cars are so much safer now. So the notion that you would see a car roll over is not something where you think they're definitely dead.
Yeah.
And two, we don't really have an issue with exploding cars anymore, but we actually really did. Like if I say
Yeah.
exploding car, which model do you think of? Do you remember
What
this?
the Chevy Impala?
It was the Ford Pinto that had
Oh, that's it.
they
That's
had
it.
the news story about the
Yeah.
exploding gas tank. If you just tapped the rear bumper, it would
Oops.
blow up.
Ba-bam. I want to
Uh,
drive one of those, please.
so I'll get on Craigslist, see if I can find one.
Yeah.
Okay, also we've got Judy in the hot tub at the
Oh,
Colloid Center.
Judy,
And here
Judy,
comes
Judy, Judy.
Rose again with the sexuality here, and especially like lesbian sexuality, like
I
the
know.
idea of lesbian as like hetero male exploitative fantasy is really big
Mhm.
in this era too, because we've all been
Yep.
fucking watching goddamn pornography in
Like, and
mainstream
now
cinema.
it's turned into Lesbos Vampiros and like
Yep.
all those European films that you would
Yes.
see down at the Skinamax.
Yep.
But this is bold. Like, it's very like Marilyn Chambers has. Listen, I don't think anybody is like she does something so well, which is just be her, which is
Mhm.
just be like almost kind of reminded me a bit of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the original Conan the Barbarian, where
Yeah.
it's like just be you, just be a blank slate. And if it's like if you're making sexy eyes at someone, just make sexy eyes like you would. Like, it's not, that's it. And she is making sexy eyes at this
Hmm.
girl in the hot tub.
I adore this because it's really fun when a director casts a movie appropriately, where it's
Yeah.
not even needing, you don't need Viola Davis in this
No,
movie to be like the best actor of a
no.
generation. It actually works better to have the kind of no-name sort of people. I mean, Marilyn Chambers has a huge name at this time,
Yeah.
but in terms of acting in a studio non-pornographic film, she doesn't have a ton of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has acting chops. She grew, I think she was doing early acting as a kid.
Sure.
And but yeah, he knows that he knows the things she can do.
Yeah.
He puts her in a part that utilizes those talents, and I think she's perfect in this movie.
I mean, literally, she is probably the most comfortable person in her own body,
Uh-huh.
because of all of her work doing porn.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, now we just, take that as we just do it. We just shoot it with an overlay of like, something that's, it's not going to lead to a pizza boy getting fucked. It's going to lead to, I don't know, you trying not to eat your best friend.
It's gonna be Freudian Judy wanting to get out of the hot tub because she's a
Oh,
homophobe.
oh my God. Well, listen,
I'm just kidding.
sometimes listen, if it, I don't care what time it is, if I'm in the sauna and you walk in the sauna, I'm probably be like, well, all yours, mister.
Yeah. Well, and especially if somebody you don't know is making weird eyes at you.
And also like walks in, she's like, I'm so glad someone else is up. And she walks into the hot tub still dressed, which is
Yeah.
even weirder. And because
Mhm.
it's not like the lascivious undressing, which you would expect from sexy time film. No, no, no. She is like single-minded,
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah. So now we've got uh so she ends up dead in the bathtub or whatever from the Rose's piercing. So Rose is back in the colloid center and she's trying to call Hart and being like, listen, I'm in trouble. You got to get me out of this
Yeah.
place. And so
Yeah.
he's going to team up with this guy Murray, who we
Yep.
met very briefly earlier, who's a friend of Dr. Colloid.
Yeah. And,
We'll
and we
get
get
to
the impression that Hart and Marie form a friendship over, like essentially like Marie is he's like feels bad for the kid because he wrecked his motorcycle, so he's going to like drive him it places if he needs it or something.
and we get a sense that Murray's a little bit concerned about Dr. Colloid's whole business model too, like what we're
Yes.
doing here. So the nurse calls in Dr. Dan Colloid
Yes,
to
Dr. Dan.
check out Rose. And Rose is crying and sobbing, and Dr. Dan's like, listen, we need to get you back under you back onto the table. I need to look at your skin grafts. How are they going? She's like, I'm hideous.
Yeah.
And she's sobbing, and he eventually has a look at her armpit and sees we see now too for the first
Yeah.
time The like yonic hole in her armpit.
Yeah.
Like it's like a vulva on her armpit, and he starts like, it's gross. He
It
starts
is
like
an
touching it
orifice.
with, he starts touching the orifice with his finger, and you can see just a little something inside of there moving about.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, it's dirty. It's not
It's
even
so
gross. It's dirty. I feel dirty looking at this.
you know what it is. This is you know, when you're petting your dog or your cat and you're giving them a nice, you're like, oh, I love you so much, and then you look, you notice they have a boner.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you made it weird. Oh shit, I'm turning on. Oh my god, wait,
Yeah.
no, get out of here with that thing. Yeah, she's red rocketing all over Montreal.
Yeah. Well, he they he's says, asks how she's feeling. She says, I feel strong.
I know.
And he's
Fuck
like, well, I
yes.
need to do these tests.
What?
And she's like, well, all your medicines make me feel weak. And then
Uh-oh.
she hugs him and armpit pierces him. And the next thing we know is we're in surgery. Dr.
This
Dan's
scene,
in surgery with another patient. Please go on. Yes.
Jeffrey, I screamed out loud during this scene because you know it's coming. Like, you know, he's there, like him and the other surgeon are scrubbing up, and you know, and he's got the dead eyes, the sort of pancake makeup, and the other surgeon's like, you know, you can sit this one out. Oh, because you don't. Okay. Oh, here we go. So they start working on somebody, and he's like sewing somebody up, and she's like, and he asks for the scissors, and you know what's coming. You know he has got the meat shakes.
He does have the meat shakes, yeah.
Like he literally just grabs the other surgeon's hand and like cuts off just at the first knuckle,
the
index finger, and just goes to town. And the fact that it's like, I don't know what it is about. Again, it wouldn't be a Cronenberg film unless horrible and mysterious things were happening in an operating theater.
It's very true. Yeah,
like
it's very, very true.
Loves that shit. This idea that like everything is like super sanitized and then pandemonium, you know, in the worst of all possible places.
So it's mass chaos inside this clinic now. Yeah, bedpan. Like all the nurses running in. They were like, "Oh my fucking god!" And
and also the word is getting out to the rest of the center. They're like, Dr. Dan's going nuts. Like get the real police involved now.
And during all of this, Rose is like, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna fuck off again. Let's try that." So
it's so funny. Like it's so tantalizing what he does with the script with her, because we have no idea how much she knows what's going on, how much she like doesn't know, how much she's culpable, how much she wants to know, because she stays this sort of quiet enigma throughout a lot of it.
Yeah. So let's talk about one of the best scenes of this film, which is the drunk farmer who got zapped earlier. Is coming to pick up his lunch at the local diner.
Horny farmer. Here we go. Horny farmer walks into a diner.
Looking real hungover because he's got sunglasses on.
Yes. And somebody's like, you seem to be bleeding out of your eyes. Is that normal? And he's like, it was just a rough night. He reminds me of Vincent D'Onofrio in
Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yes, totally it. Yeah.
Where you're just like, please pay with cash and leave this premises right now.
There's another guy at the counter waiting on his food too, and so the food comes out for that guy, but farmer drunk, horny farmer grabs it and just starts wolfing it down. And I don't know what they put in this food, but it looks so gross. Like
it's just chicken.
It's just
greasy. It's a rotisserie chicken.
There's something about the colors and the texture of it, though, as he's mashing it between his fingers and shoving it into his mouth, that just is so gross. And the other guy's like, hey, that's my food. That's my food. And he pushes horny farmer against the wall and has the cutesy line of like, I'm never going to hit a man with glasses, and rips his sunglasses off. And we see that's where her pincer went into his eye. because his eye is gone, and there's just some other gross ass hole there.
Another new orifice of some sort.
Yeah. And this
But
is
yeah, he
when
gets downed, and then but then he goes after and tries to eat the waitress, which is just beyond the pale, sir.
it is like, treat your waitstaff well.
That's right. Don't eat your waitstaff.
That's right. So
Not even a little.
not even a little, not even just a finger.
Not even a taste.
So now we've got Hart and Murray are on their way to the clinic to look for Rose, and now we see police cars fucking everywhere.
All over the Kelloid campus.
One cop is like, Hart tells some cop, he's like, hey, I'm here to find my girlfriend Rose, who's, he's like, well, I don't know which one she is, but you want to see the one we found in the basement?
We found one in the basement.
And we found
a good
Judy.
Scare.
Yeah, and so they open up the door to the freezer, basically the deep freeze,
Yeah.
and it's Judy's dead body in there.
Yeah.
Nope, not
so
Rose.
So Rose must have. So she knows she's doing wrong because she stashed the body.
Yeah.
But then she just sort of goes back. She just sort of sits around, and like someone in a Agatha Christie novel just goes, "What? Oh, is there a commotion? Oh my, you should probably check that out." And then sneaks off for another bite to eat.
One of the cops, kind of our main cop that we talk to most, shows when Murray asks him about where's Dr. Colloid.
Yeah.
He's like, well, let me show you. And he shows in the back of the police van, and we see rabid ass Dr. Dan just thrashing about inside this police van.
It reminded me of the professor from Reanimator. Remember her dad?
Yeah, that's
when
right.
They're like, we've taken the doctor, the doctor that seems to know it all, and then by the end he becomes this literally like raving madman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really interesting, like the also sort of the sadness on Cypher's face when he's asked to identify him as the former Dr. Dan Kelloid.
Yeah. So Rose is now hitchhiking.
Sure.
Tell
me you're in the 70s without telling me you're in the 70s.
Yep. She gets
in a pair of like knee-high leather boots, skin-tight Jordache jeans, and like a block colored top. Absolutely, girl.
Stunning.
I mean, she looks gorgeous.
She's amazing in this. So she gets picked up by this truck driver. She takes a bite of his steak sandwich and promptly pukes again.
Throw it up. Yeah, can't eat that.
And the next time we see this truck, it's still on the same part of the road, and a cop comes in to check on the driver, who looks asleep at the wheel but is just unconscious with like blood trickling out of his ear.
Right.
And the trucker don't remember nothing.
I know, it's so interesting that there is this thing about this disease in which they don't remember the transaction point.
Yeah.
It
feels a little bit like
soap opera amnesia.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like a writing device just to say, I don't want to bother with all of the arguments over somebody saying this woman stabbed me with something in her armpit. And then everyone being like, I can't even begin to believe that.
I can't believe that. Yeah.
Because you can't really make that believable in a scene. So you're going to have to keep having the argument. So I think it's just a shortcut to say, I can't keep it. I can't. So
we have to get this to the public at large, and we have to do it fast and without any mess.
Yep.
So just fucking bump them on the head. They have amnesia now.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like if you're going to rank the things that are hard to believe in this movie, that's going to be down the list quite a ways.
Pretty far. Yeah, no. Listen, that's what I love about like the sort of near sci-fi that David Cronenberg does, like taking place right now or in the next few years, the hypothetical near future, is that if you're going to make shit up, make it up the way you like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the detectives are hopping around looking for this trucker later, and eventually he attacks them. So we're starting to see more and more like moments of people in public doing crazy shit, and now we've got Claude Lapointe, who is the Quebec Bureau of Health. He's very Quebecois, and he is he says, we're up against something very fierce. And I can do my Canadian French accent. It's terrible. But yeah, he's
well, this is where we start to link it to rabies. I
yeah,
think he's the first one who's like we're gonna, like, everyone at the Keloid Center, we're gonna give them rabies shots.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna learn doesn't really do much. But
doesn't do much because it transfers like rabies. It transfers through blood and saliva. And he's
but
like,
isn't.
but it isn't rabies. But they think it is because they think that's how it's transferring.
Yeah.
And but he's like, it's just more powerful than rabies. Like, it spreads quickly and
like
the symptoms start immediately. Yeah.
6-8 hours.
Yeah.
Oof. That, yeah, we're doomed. We're doomed.
Yeah. And so we're beginning the quarantine process here too. Now we meet Mindy, which is where Rose goes. That's where she hitchhiked to, was to dear sweet friend Mindy's house. And Mindy just wants to look after her friend Rose. Like, I just want to take care of you. I want to make you some chicken soup, keep you in bed.
This apartment is so cozy. And you can tell it's like downtown Quebec or downtown Montreal. And it's like, you know, young single girl. She's a career gal. She's got the big, oh my God, the eyewear that this woman has on.
Yes.
Like in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the secretary has like a pair of those like big orange owl glasses. These are double layered. I was like, what was going on with the chunky eyewear in the 70s? Stunning. And can we bring it back?
Please. Okay, so now we've got Mindy will come into play more later.
But this is But this is like essentially she has like a crash pad.
Yeah. There's a moment where the cops have to they have to shoot down a zombie cop.
Yeah.
In the jail. They have to like trap him in and then just blast him with a shotgun.
Yep.
Because and then they all say, they're like, he was like the first one to get the rabies shot.
Yeah. And
vaccines kill is what I'm saying.
That's what I listen. My child cries when I give it vaccines, so they must be bad. I love that like Hart and Cypher are like kind of passive witnesses to the steps on the ladder down the pandemic, you know, breakdown of society. Like they're like those characters that just happen to be at the, like, talking to the right cop at the right time when something else happens, and they're like, oh fuck, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
So now we've got a real issue happening, and this is where Rose goes to the XXX cinema. We've got a couple of these scenes, you know, her relationship to men in this movie. We've already had the horny farmer try to assault her. We've got this creepy fucking dude in the adult cinema sidling up, like pretending like he deliberately brushes her hair.
Just her hair. And they's like, then, oh, I'm sorry. Did I touch you as I walked past you? But she knows exactly what's going on, and it's like we get a lot of this in, what was it? A bit of what's the Scarlett Johansson film where she's like
Under the Skin?
Under the Skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Under the Skin, in which it's like, this is the game. Yeah. Unfortunately, the predator does not know that he is prey just yet.
Yeah. There's interesting archetypes of the way men treat women, you know, like beautiful women, because we've had Lloyd, who's an older man, hands-offish sort of person. He doesn't react to her sexually until she comes on to him, or quote unquote comes on to him. You've got the lecherous drunk old man who throws himself on her, and
we
now
even have Dr. Keloid.
And you have Dr. Keloid. You have the doctor who's like, I want to examine your body purely. I'm like, not sexually, but that's still an examination of your body. And then you have this like super sleazy creepo in the theater, like lying, like pickup artist type.
Yeah.
And then later we'll meet the guy in the mall who's just awkward, like just the most awkward guy trying to hit on a woman. Yeah. So, well, he's going to be, this is, I think, the first moment we see the close up of the armpit pincer is inside the scene, which makes sense. In the adult cinema, we're now going to see the red rocket protrude from its orifice.
Yes, and it is, and it literally has a thorn. Like it reminds me of a thorn bush.
Yeah,
inside of it. Just go.
Um, so Rose back at Mindy's is, there's a shot of her just like writhing on the floor for a while. Mindy been like, "Are you
Yeah.
okay in there?" She's like, "I'm just brushing my teeth."
I'm totally fine. Have a nice day at work. I love you.
Mindy's
But she is
clearly,
going through it. This is where it's like she's going through withdrawal symptoms.
yeah, because she doesn't want to kill her friend.
Uh-huh.
And
And she has to keep sneaking out in order to get fed. And listen, you for those of you who subscribe, Jeffrey has a screen grab of the film, and
mhm.
this shot of your screen grab is so iconic because one, it's gorgeously shot. It's just like so off the cuff cinema verite of just like Marilyn Chambers as Rose in this luscious fur-tastic coat,
Mm-hmm.
feathered hair, Farrah Fawcett hair,
Yeah.
just walking down the streets. And I try to describe it as like she's looking at every other person on the street as if they were a potential meal.
Yeah.
But in a sexual and also predatorial sort of way that is like electrifying.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the way these men relate to her so interesting, because she's trying to, it's a little bit of a spider and a fly thing, and it
Yeah.
flips the notion on its head that she is the prey.
Yeah.
It's a
Like
pretty simple
the beautiful
notion, but
woman
yeah.
just waiting to be hit on by a man.
Yeah.
To be told, smile, you'd look so beautiful if you smiled.
And the two people she wants so desperately to protect the most are the
Yeah.
people who treat her so humanely, who don't want
Right.
her body, who want her love.
Who,
And that's
who
her
want to
best.
help her heal and, get
Yeah.
through whatever this is she is going through.
And it's going to doom them both, particularly Mindy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Mindy.
poor
Oh,
Mindy.
the friend, it sucks to be the protagonist friend sometimes.
I don't want to jump so far ahead, but also I don't want to like lose the story. So I had my roommate in college, or my roommates in college had a snake, and he really loved snakes, and he had this boa constrictor, Sophie. I loved the snake. I talked about it in the Anaconda episode. She was awesome. But my roommate Jesse had told me about the snake he had growing up, and there was a time when you feed them mice,
Sure.
and so he put a mouse in there to feed the snake, but the snake was not hungry, and the snake, he was like, he befriended the mouse.
Oh no.
And so it was a thing where like the mouse was fine too. The mouse was like, all right, well, we're
It's
safe
like,
here, we're
okay, if you're
fine.
not going to eat me, then I suppose I'm all right here.
But like a couple weeks went by and they were living just fine, and then eventually the snake got hungry and ate the
Yeah.
mouse. And he was
Yeah.
like, I was really fucking sad about it, because you think this loving relationship just continues, that they treat it like humans, like we're
What, like
enemies, but we
anthropomorphized animal friendships? Wait, you're telling me friendship isn't magic, Jeffrey?
That's right. They sang Christmas carols across no man's land, and then the next day they were back to firing across trenches at each
Yes,
other.
that's it. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this is for Mindy and for Rose too.
Yeah.
But Mindy, who's an aspiring actress, we see she's got pages.
Yes.
She's learning for her
Yeah.
audition,
Mm-hmm.
and she's hopping on a train heading to said audition, probably,
Oh my
or
God.
rehearsal or
This
whatever.
sequence is so iconic.
Tell me about it.
I mean, this is like classic zombie like outbreak, but it conveys that like packedness. Everything in this movie has been out in the countryside. It's been a trucker here, a horny redneck there. This is like, again, this sort of secondary character being a witness to like just going through her life. And we also see her, she's been watching the TV, so she knows something's up, but it's all very vague and on the background. And like she is in a packed subway, and this woman, she got the meat sweats, Jeffrey. She got the green foamies.
She's got Colgate mouth. Yeah,
she's got the Colgate mouth, and she just like bites down on some strap hanger's arm.
Uh-huh.
But it's so like the
and
way it's shot.
Bites his ear off.
Oh, does she? Oh, I missed
Yeah,
that.
we see the close up of his ear, and his ear's gone. Ugh.
For me, it was more the crowd reaction. It's like messy. There's like a scuffle. Like nobody can get away. Nobody can nobody, like somebody's holding her back, but you don't really see the faces. It's just the way he captures the movement of it, of which, listen, if you've ever been on a public transit when something has gone wrong, this is what it feels like. Like you don't know where the exits are. You kind of lose all sense of where you are. Like you just know you need to get away from the person with the blue foamies.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone clears off of this train,
Yeah.
including Mindy. So Mindy is seeing this all as real too. There's also Claude, Claude Lapont, and his friends they get held up by a roadblock. And this is where they're like, tell the driver, tell those men,
Yes.
ask those men, how soon until we can get through? It's important. We are government officials.
Yes.
The road workers just carry their jackhammer right on over, jam it through the side of the door into the driver. Yank him out like he was an hors d'oeuvre, they toothpicked the hors d'oeuvre.
Yes. And then they dragged him. It's like lions on a safari if the lions had a jackhammer and could get into the safari car. And they're just like, and they just pull him out. And Monsieur Lapont and his assistant or whatever, they kind of manage to escape while these two rabid folks are just chowing down on the driver.
Yeah. This is when, at this point, because the Canadian health officials haven't been able to hold it together, the Brits send over Dr. Gentry, who's basically says, the only way to do this is martial law. And we could imprison the victims of this outbreak, but they're just going to die in prison anyway. So it's better if we just shoot them now. Just shoot to kill.
The way he phrases it and the way he like you can tell that there was some commentary now that, knowing what you said about this sort of British Canadian treaty that was going on, or a change of politic, like the way this guy is, he's so brutal.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I say that a gun is a good way to help them as any other. And you're like, oh, look. It's also shot like he's given an off the cuff remark and is like caught by the press and is trying to walk away. So he tells it all in like half shadow. It's very shady.
Yeah, very much so.
Literally shady.
It feels like, and I can't speak to this not being Canadian, but it makes me wonder if that relationship always has felt parental, right? If you are part of the crown, if you're a Kiwi or an Aussie or a Canadian, a Jamaican, whatever, like anybody who has been part of the crown or whatever.
Indian.
Yeah, in this like past century. I mean, we were part of the crown at one point in time, but I don't feel the parentalness because America is sort of unique in that way in the power structure, but it's so parental, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm sort of curious.
It's like, you all can't handle this. Let the adults step in and we're just going to shoot them in the head. And clean it up for you.
I'm just curious if people who were, conscious in pre-1982 in Canada kind of felt a parental oversight by the UK, because that's what it did. It feels like dad coming in being like, you kids can't handle this. I'm going to tell you what to do.
This is your tough love.
So now oh my God, this scene is so violent, so disturbing, and so funny because it is Christmas time at the mall.
Oh, Christmas time at the mall. This could have been a holiday film, Jeffrey.
Is Rabid a Christmas movie? I
think this is the best Christmas film I've seen in quite a while. At least since Gremlins.
So Boot Dude, a guy, and I love his outfit because he's wearing a blouse.
Yeah.
Open to his belly button.
Yeah.
A light brown leather jacket. Green trousers, but are those jeans? High-waisted.
They're kind of like sort of like Amish chic sort of vibe.
Yeah, and like knee-high boots, like knee-high, like horse boots.
Yes,
I don't remember what you call these.
In. Everybody's got these things on. And listen, I'm not mad at it. And also, it's winter in Canada. Like, appropriate footwear. Duh.
Sure. Well, he comes to sit by Rose and is trying to act tough and cool. But I love all the dynamics of the men who interact with her.
I know. Yeah. Like all the oh my gosh, it really is going through a Playboy guidebook of how to pick up a beautiful woman.
Yeah. And this guy doesn't quite have the whole thing down because he's like, do you smoke? You want to smoke? She's like, sure. And he hands her a cigarette and he's like, "Oh, you got a lighter? Let me go ask this other guy for a lighter."
Oh no. And sure enough, the person he asks bites him in the face.
Yep. So Booty gets bitten by this dude, and now this dude is on the run, and a cop with a submachine gun is after Chompy.
Yeah.
Chompy is in front of the Santa,
Oh my God.
and the cop just says, "Now's the perfect time to open fire."
Let her out.
And
Just in time for Christmas. The new
he,
Cabbage Patch doll.
in front of the kids, he mows down the perpetrator, but he also mows down Santa Claus.
Yep.
I also love when he looks at the dead body of the bullet-ridden Santa covered in blood. The cop just goes, "Oh, Christ." And I said, "No, that's Claus." Don't get the two confused. They're very similar, Jesus
like,
and Santa.
The paperwork on this.
Uh-huh. Okay. So now we've got Murray and Hart, and they're going to do what anybody in a good horror movie should do, which is split up.
Yes.
And Murray heads back to his place to check on it. Murray Cypher heads back to his house to check on his wife and kiddo.
And they had, because we know he has a tiny little baby.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're taking bets here at this point in the movie. How do you think mom and baby are doing?
I don't think they're going to do well.
No.
Listen, I don't think they're going to listen. If you walk into a house that is your house and there is a citywide pandemic of chompy bites going around, and if you have to say hello, honey, more than twice, everybody in that house is a zombie. Sorry, just I could have spent 30 years with you and loved you like my own. But if I walk into my fucking house and there's a pandemic of zombiness going on, honey, are you there?
Yeah.
I am literally either arming myself or leaving. That's just, but we see this is the most horror movie that this movie gets. This sequence of like, let's investigate every fucking room of this darkened house.
Lots of taut tension about where's the next jump scare coming from.
Like, I also love the way he like shoots it. He literally shows you all the doors in the upstairs. He's like, all evil could come from any one of these places. And it, sure enough, it's in the last, evil is always in the last place you look.
Yeah. Well,
like
he's
my
in
grandmother said.
He's in the baby's room. Crib is empty, but then he spots like blood on the carpet. Now, I wasn't sure what this visual was. He like lifts up. Is that a cooler full of blood? Like what was in that?
No, it's the bath. It's the baby bath.
That's the baby bath. Okay. Because he lifts a lid on it. I didn't realize there's like a lid. But it's like
blood in the bath water.
Blood in the bath water.
And then sure enough, like I think he hears his wife either says something or shuffles, and she comes out of that closet.
And she's on him. See you, Murray.
Full chomping.
He did great. He was like our number one actor in this, like tried and true.
Yeah.
Like you could have put this character in any kind of like primetime cop drama and he would have been perfect.
He kind of looks, he's like a gruffer version of F. Murray Abraham.
Yeah, totally.
Like he's the wisecracking sidekick.
So Hart has taken Murray's car and is going to go find Rose. Another great scene wherein he's for whatever reason he's stopped at a stoplight. It is zombie apocalypse. There are no rules. Just keep driving.
Yeah. What is this where they see the dump trucks?
This is where the zombie jumps on top of his car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, I take it back. Actually, you shouldn't be running stoplights because there's snipers everywhere, because the way this guy goes down is a Canadian sniper shoots this zombie down, and then two men in hazmat uniforms come out, spray his car down,
and then tell him to move on.
Disinfectant to be like, move on.
Worst
car wash ever.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? I was like, undercarriage? No, you're not going to do the under. It's Canada.
I want the wax.
Come on. There's so much salt on these roads. But this portion, actually, I was quite shocked at how eerie this was. And I think having lived through a pandemic like we all did in the recent past, like I was in New York City when literally there were times where you would drive by or go by Central Park and there was tents with bodies stacked up inside
Mm.
of them. And this image of like, it's so simple. It's just a line of dump trucks, or of garbage trucks,
Yeah.
empty garbage trucks with white suited hazmat people on them. And that suggestion, terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly what's going to go into those garbage trucks.
Yeah. I love the character of the collector, right? The hazmat people. Like a few years later, we're gonna have E.T. and one of the scariest scenes of my childhood are the hazmat people coming in to collect the subject here. And that's what this movie will close on, is the collectors coming. They are kind of the inevitability, the archetype of the inevitability. They're a group of masked or indistinguishable people.
Government agency of some
agency
sort.
Or some type of, just people that you could kill one could die, but you're never really going to know anything about them, and they'll always be replaced, and they'll just keep coming and coming and coming, and there'll always be garbage trucks piling dead bodies of zombies into the backs.
And there's no reasoning with them. There's no like, I'm just a citizen. Nope. Like, that's it.
Yep. So news report on the TV at Mindy's house. Mindy's just kind of making some dinner for her best friend,
making some soup.
And they've traced the source now, according to the news, to the Keloid clinic,
right? Which is like fast work on their part. Good job.
Yeah. And Rose gets up and gets dressed and is like, I really need to get out of here because I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend is so good and I love her, and there's going to come a point when I'm not going to be able to stop myself. But Mindy sees her leaving. She's like, no, you can't go. You're not in any condition. I'll run you a bath. Take a hot bath. And she says, no, I don't want it to be you. And she's like, of course it should be me. I'm your best friend.
And we all know that was the kiss of death. We are not, Mindy is not long for this world.
And Hart comes in, and he walks in on Rose armpit fucking Mindy, basically, like devouring Mindy.
This is so shocking. It happens very fast, but it's like Rose is kind of like down over Mindy's body, vampire style, but she like lifts up her head and arms, and so what's funny is that like your eye is kind of drawn to the fact that she has like blood all over her mouth, but you get a little sneak peek at her red rocket under her arm.
Yeah.
Which is important because Hart needs to know, again, without a shadow of a doubt, that she is patient zero.
Such a great point. Yeah, he does. He needs to know that because they're going to have this confrontation. She says it's not my fault, and he pulls her up, and I love this scene because it's so dramatic. Like, it's overly dramatic. It is
pretty. This is where the acting gets a little schmacky.
Yeah, I think you could be real. Like, this is B-movie acting, but also
they're swinging for the stalls.
It's also fine. This is a expertly done B-movie.
Yeah.
Like, B-movie is not an insult to this film at all. No. It is schlocky and it's fantastic. But he's holding her tight because they're in love. And I think that's a really great way of playing off of what just happened with Mindy too, because we see the two people who love her the most.
Yeah.
And he's holding her tight, even though he's like, you carried the plague, you've killed hundreds of people. And she's mad, and she's like, no, I didn't. This was if it's anyone's fault, it's yours. You're the one who can't drive a fucking motorcycle.
I know, right? You were checking your phone. That's not a thing in the 70s.
And so she he was doing the New York Times crossword while driving around on that thing. So she runs from him. Yes. They have a kind of a chase in the building, and he ends up falling down the stairs.
Yep. Knocks his noggin, and she just walks right the fuck over him to go out.
Well, she stops for a second, which is kind of a suspenseful thing of like, is she going to drink his blood? But she just kisses him. And she checks his pulse, sees he's alive.
It's like a goodbye kiss.
Yeah, and it's also saying like, I've got to find somebody else because I want you to live.
Yeah.
But she does find somebody. She finds a young man in the lobby of the apartment building.
Oh my God. Who's also like, I've seen you around here. I live in who also just like another level of sort of self-satisfied schmarmy.
You're right. That's totally it.
And she gives it right back to him. She's like, well, I'm friends with Mindy on 4B. Maybe you've seen me around. Maybe I've seen you around. Do you want to go see my armpit? It's my best feature.
So the next thing we see is she's calling Hart. So we assume it's several hours later. She's called Hart. Maybe he's
Yeah,
back in her
Hart
apartment,
is back at his place, I think. Yeah,
either
yeah,
his
yeah,
place or her. Yeah, it must be back at his place, thinking she's run off.
yeah.
She calls and says, I think you were right about me being carrier. I
This
got
scene.
mad because I could
Mhm.
see how true it was, which I
Yeah,
think is a great line. Like, it's the
yeah,
reason why we get mad a lot of times is
yeah.
because somebody said something truthful to us,
You're like,
and
I
we,
am patient zero. Fuck,
yeah, yeah,
fuck. I wasn't ready, but now, and this, she's so sad when she delivers like what she's doing at that moment. Ugh.
yeah, yeah. So she says, I've murdered a lot of people. But you know what? I found a partner for my experiment. And we see a
Mhm.
shot of the man from downstairs sitting in the papasan,
Yep.
like blood trickling down his neck. And she says, I just infected him just to make sure he doesn't get sick. So if he doesn't get sick, then I'm not the one who did this. And he's like, you are the one who did this, and you have to get out of there because he's going to come to and kill your
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah. And
And Hart
she's
is
kind of okay.
correct.
And she is kind of okay with that.
Until it happens, she's not
Well,
at
yeah.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She does seem a little bit like cavalier about it.
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
think deep down she still wants to believe she didn't do this. So it's a little bit because
Oh,
she says you may
yeah.
have been right. She didn't say you are
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I misspoke. I'm looking at my notes. She says you may have been right about me being a character. A carrier. Um, and so she kind of is saying like, yes, it's possible, but possibly not. So just give me one last
Sure.
chance to prove. It's a little bit like addict speak, right? Bargaining,
Yeah.
right? It's a little bit
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just give me one more chance to show that I can go a whole night without a drink or what have
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, you can't though. Like the
Yeah.
point is and so when the next thing when she's on the phone and then the shadow of Creepo is
Yeah.
standing
Yeah. Yeah.
over her and she screams and he's like crying and smashing his own
Yeah.
phone. Hard is.
See, I thought it was like, I thought she was, she's in the bell jar. Like she's
Oh, okay.
Death Wish. Like she's full, like, I have like what, like she's holding on to that slim potential that she might not be, but I think she knows. He knows,
Interesting.
she knows, and she knows that she knows, and she knows that the only way to stop this is if she puts
Ins
herself in harm's way,
right.
and that's what she's doing. And I don't know, I found it really sad and touching. Like, I thought that aspect of it, of kind of it's almost like the I know I'm going to die, call home from the airplane that's going down, kind of
I think
sad.
that's a good point. That makes a lot more sense, and I actually like that better because it implies that, yeah, it's a helpful death, right? If you know, because
Yeah.
either either she can prove that she's not the carrier
Yes. Yeah.
by this man never waking up,
Mm-hmm.
or she can prove that she is, and in that case, she knows she needs to die.
Yeah.
So that's the hand me the grenade, I'll run into the pack of zombies moment,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
I've been bitten already.
Yeah.
Next morning, we see Rose's like twitching corpse in the alley, and here come the collectors.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick her up, throw her in the back of the hopper.
Oh my God. And it's so like, it's also just like seeing a prone woman's body being thrown into the back of a garbage truck
Yeah,
is such a loaded image.
yeah. And you see them turn on the compactor and drive away.
Yep.
And credits.
Yeah.
Credits.
Credits.
Shall we rate this film?
Yes, let's.
So how approachable is this movie? They have the Sasha scale, the squeamish approachability scale for the horror verse. Or on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll let you know just how approachable this movie is. But like 1 being do not approach this film if you're horror squeamish, 10 being definitely approach this film even if you are horror squeamish. I would give Rabid like 3 hazmat window washers out of 10. Like it's
Yeah. It's a little,
I think
brutal.
it's pretty brutal. There's a lot of the kind of like a lot of the movies of this time, the violence, the puncturing the knife into the chest, all that stuff isn't shown.
Yeah.
There's no exploding. This isn't Scanners. There's no
This isn't
exploding
the
heads.
Oh yeah, no, we've not made it to the 80s just yet.
No. So but it's still, like I said, like really, it's gross.
And
It's more gross
shocking.
than
Yeah.
scary, and it's shocking. It's sad, like Murray losing his infant. That, like,
Yeah.
trigger warning, and all, and also just horror wise, that's a really, you know, it's coming, but it's hard to brace yourself for that. Uh, yeah, the only thing keeping this from a one is how fun the movie is at times, and the fact that it does have like a really dark sense of humor at moments. But yeah, it's a lot. It's gross. That fucking armpit red
Mm-mm.
rocket thing is
No.
so gross. It's so much. So yeah, if you're not, if you've already gotten into The Fly, or you've like, okay, David Cronenberg may be a type of horror I can get into. Maybe this is your next step above that. But yeah, definitely don't go from Over the Garden Wall to this.
Yes. No. That's
But
probably
if
not a
you
good
made
idea.
it through like Halloween, this is the
Yeah.
next level up from that,
Yeah.
right? Like this is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
next, like, we're gonna get into like not just scary slasher, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
gross body horror stuff. So 3 out of 10 for approachability. What about you as a horror film?
I know I've seen this film before, but I think last time I was so focused on the plot of it that I kind of missed the slow burn that is this movie. So I think this movie just delighted me and made me scream and jump out of my skin, especially as I said in that surgery scene. Oh my God. So this is, I would say 8 out of 10 penis barbs.
Yeah, perfect. Let's figure out what movie we'll watch next. You got a scare die. I have a style die. We'll roll those up, see what movie fits those two things. Cecil, if you roll a one, our next scare is Animal. Two, Alien. Three, A Lady Killer. Four, Creepy Children. Five, Evil Science. Or six, Wild Card, whatever scare we want.
That's a 2.
Two, the rare two. I have a spreadsheet, by the way, of all the films, and I also like mark down what number we rolled and what the topic was for each time. Just, I don't know, why not? It's on a spreadsheet. But I went through and I was like analyzing die rolls, like how good are our dice,
Oh
and
yeah.
both of us are deficient on twos. Like two is
Weird.
notably lower for both of us. That's all. I'm just pointing that out. I just found
So
that a
if you've
statistic.
been if you want to bring down the house, then come on over to this
That's
card
right.
table
That's right.
because it's hot.
Like the predicted outcome is 16.67% that you'll roll any one number, 1/6, right? And you've rolled 8% twos, and I've rolled 14% twos.
Wow.
Very low. I
Both
don't
both under.
understand. Anyways, okay, so we're gonna match up your alien with whatever I roll here on the style die, and that is, well, one means it's a sexy horror film. Two, action fantasy, something a little outside of on the periphery of horror. Three, black and white film. Four, bringing back the first 3 episodes. So we'll do the first 3 episodes of a TV series. Five, New York, New York. New York, New York, a film that takes place in New York City. And six, 75th percentile, something 75% or higher on the review aggregators. Let's do this roll. I got a four again. The four is real, y'all. Been heavy on
Yeah.
fours, low on twos. First 3 episodes of Alien.
Now, Jeffrey,
Yes.
we have 3 things down here, and we're going to go to the letterbox and see what our listeners have put on there. But I am going into this conversation with a bias. There is only one TV show that features aliens that deserves to go back and watch the first 3 episodes, and that's the X-Files. Just throwing that out there right now. But let's run down everything.
Well, okay, so we have obviously X-Files.
Yeah.
Another one I put on here is a show I remember watching as a kid with my stepbrother, The Outer Limits.
Yes,
And
The
I
Outer
know
Limits is great.
Outer Limits is fantastic. Stranger Things is another contemporary classic of horror TV shows that deal with alien or more like scientific experiment. I don't remember
that's more sciencey. There's like
not alien. It's
this like other dimension.
It's the what's it called? I've only seen season one.
The Down Under. She's
That's
from
right,
the Flip
the Down Under. Yeah.
She's from the Flip Flop.
Okay, so here's what we got on our letterboxd. A lot of votes for the X-Files. BGHVGJDH, my favorite username, says X-Files. So does Cronenberg TA, says X-Files as well. Brave Crab throws out, I've seen this before. I haven't seen it, but I'm aware of it. Parasite, the Maxim, which is
Oh, I've not seen that.
Looks really crazy, very CGI, very like live action anime
Oh,
looking type of shit.
interesting.
Um, okay, Ganymede's Cup says Torchwood, which is a more like adult Doctor Who spinoff.
Oh, yes, yes.
Throws
Okay,
that out. Squin throws out Doctor Who.
great.
And then Josh Ludd throws out, oh, this is interesting. Josh Ludd throws out the original series from
Yes.
1984, which
Yeah.
would
Oh,
be,
shit. Josh Ludd,
god
did you
damn.
just, that's a really good suggestion.
Fuck you, Josh Ludd, because that's really good.
Well, here's, and oh, fuck, am I going to pivot to this? Because I specifically remember when V came out, I was just too young to watch that show. But I specifically remember staying up past my bedtime and seeing a very specific moment that I think is actually in the first 3 episodes. And it
Mm,
like to this, it was like one of those things that like primetime was not ready for how scary this TV show was,
yeah. And then
or something.
creepy hosta, creepy hosta, seconded the Doctor Who kind of Squin had thrown out like instead of the first 3 episodes of Doctor Who, since it's such a long-ranging TV series, they
Yeah.
picked out 3 very particular scary alien sort of
Oh, yes.
episodes. Yeah. Okay, so my issue with Doctor Who and with X-Files, I would love to do either of them for the show, by the way. This is not me knocking them. And it's a little bit similar to Stranger Things as well, which is those are such big cultural
Sure.
touchstone
Yeah. Yeah.
shows
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
that are horror, but also spread so far beyond horror in terms of their
Sure.
mainstreamness that it's hard to say, let's watch 3 episodes and then have a talk about the X-Files.
Right. Yeah, that was on for how many seasons?
Mhm.
24 episodes a season.
It would be something. I mean, Buffy could be, Buffy is another one like that
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, how do I just
Where does it
really.
begin and where does it end is so vastly different. Yeah. Yeah.
So it'd be fun to talk about those shows, but I think the fans of those shows would find it frustrating
Yeah.
that we're only talking the first 3 episodes.
And also, like, my knowledge of the X Files is like 2%, y'all. Like,
Same.
like a lot has happened in my personal life that I have had to jettison that information.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think V might be a fun watch.
So V ran for 3 seasons from 83 to 85 or 86.
Uh-huh.
And this is back when TV shows were 20 episodes long. So
Yep.
we're obviously not going to get to all
No.
of V, but I
No.
think the original 1983 series might be where it's at. What do you
It could
think?
be fun. Jeffrey, I think you're right. Look at
Wow.
me. Look at me. I went into the conversation with one mind, walked out with another.
Josh Ludd opened you up like an armpit.
Like an armpit, penis, barb, butthole.
Thank you, Josh Ludd. Well, that was easy enough. Thank you all
And
for listening.
there's your outgoing voicemail message for the rest of your life.
And thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. Thank you, Josh Ludd. And if y'all have thoughts on Rabid or ideas for other movies that would have, or TV shows that would have been good Alien first 3 episodes, let us know on Twitter or on Instagram at Random Horror 9. So watch the first 3 episodes of the original from 1983 with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no conversion vans blocking your motorcycle ride or nothing. Boo.
Boo.